What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm here to break down the NFL Thursday night showdown between the fantastic game between the New York Giants and the Philadelphia Eagles, two of the worst teams in the NFL, the worst division in the NFL, maybe the worst division of all time. Just terrible. And I'm a Giants fan, so I want us to lose this game. I was honestly annoyed that we beat the Redskins or Washington football team because I want Trevor Lawrence. So we're going to be pulling for Philly. I don't know if that's going to happen because Philly literally has nobody on their team. And before I'm going to get into the players, we got to go through all the injuries because, like, I had to write all the injuries down today because I can't remember them all. There's just so many. Like, Darius Slayton, questionable. I don't think he's going to play. I mean, he didn't look like he was any sort of healthy after he got hurt against Washington. Miles Sanders is out. Dallas Goedert's on the IR. Alshon Jeffrey's always questionable. He's not going to play. He never plays. Sterling Shepard's on the IR. Zach Ertz is out. I don't even know who. Oh, Deshaun Jackson's questionable, but I doubt he plays. Jalen Reagor's on the IR. Saquon Barkley's out for the season. C.J. Board looks like one of the worst injuries I've ever seen, and he seems to be like he's going to be okay in the long run, but he's not playing. Cody Core, who I didn't even know exists until today, is on the IR, and Josh Perkins is on the IR. These teams have absolutely nobody. It's literally going to be like practice squad players playing this game. So we'll get into all of how to break it down. But before I do, make sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, turn notification bell. All those things really help me grow. Had a lot of growth throughout NFL, NASCAR, NBA season, so NFL's still going strong. Thursday Night Football always seems to get good viewership, so thank you guys for your continued support. Let's get into it. We're going to start with the quarterbacks who, for the first time I think I've ever suggested on one of these videos, are my favorite captain plays. Daniel Jones, Carson Wentz. Look, before I made this video, I was just fooling around with lineups. If Darius Slayton misses, you can literally play Carson Wentz, who's the most expensive player at captain. Then you can play Austin Mack, who we'll get into as a receiver for the Giants, it's $400. And literally, if Slayton misses, and literally the next four most expensive players, you can play anybody you want. Like it's like the Jacksonville Miami slate a few weeks ago, where you can literally just play whoever you want because everyone's out. So there's no, like, you're not going to be filling up your salary, and you're going to want to. And, like, I mean, you're going to want to have the quarterback as a captain because quarterbacks, for the most part, score the most points. It's just sometimes you don't want him at captain because there's just times where, you know, they're way more expensive than the highest, than like a receiver, even though they might score a little more points. It's going to be more valuable to have the receiver. So these are going to be your two captain spots. We'll go look at the matchup. I mean, I think I'm probably only putting these guys at captain. If Slayton plays, I'll probably some of him. But we got to see how he's playing, or what the beat writers are saying about him in practice. Is he just going to be like a decoy out there, or is he actually playing? So we're going to have to make sure to look for that. But overall matchup, it's not great. The line on the game is 44. The Eagles allowed the 15th most points to quarterbacks. The Giants allowed the 26th most amount. I mean, it's just, like, I mean, they don't have anybody to throw the ball to, but they don't really have any running backs either. So I don't know. This is going to be horrible. But yeah, these are the two guys I'd probably want to go to a captain. They probably score the most points on the slate, more than likely. So I think these are definitely the two spots I want to get to. Running backs we'll go to next, where we have one legit running back, Devontae Freeman. He's $7,400. You have Dion Lewis at $1,600, Corey Clement at $5,200, and Boston Scott. They did price him up to $8,400 with Miles Sanders being out. We go look at the offense versus defensive line matchups. It's going to be negative for both teams because both teams' offensive lines are horrible, and actually both their defensive lines really aren't that bad, especially the Giants. It's been a nice surprise to see the Giants' defensive line not be terrible this year. The Eagles allowed the 20th most points to running backs, and the Giants allowed the 10th most, so still good matchups overall. When we go look at usage, Devontae Freeman, since Saquon's been out, since he's been on the team, is averaging 12.75 carries per game, and in the last 2 weeks he's seen 17 and 18 as he becomes more and more familiar with the team. We saw Miles Sanders miss week 1, where Corey Clement saw 6 carries and Boston Scott saw 9. They were playing from behind a lot that game, so not a lot of running. I don't know who's going to be playing from behind this game. It could be them again. So not really a ton of attempts there, but they are really the only two running backs who should get any usage. I don't see any of the other guys on this team getting any usage at all in the running game. And in the passing game, same thing. I mean, Devontae Freeman's averaging 2.25 targets per game since he's started playing with the Giants. Dion Lewis has gotten usage in the passing game, averaging 2.75 targets per game since Barkley's been out as well. He's really cheap. I mean, if you just want to throw him in a lineup or two, if you're mass multi-entering, I think that's fine. Wouldn't expect a lot, but he's only $1,600. You can see some targets, and Philly's defense sucks. So if he catches one into a touchdown, that's going to be needed on the slate. Wouldn't play a ton of him, but he's still definitely in play. Corey Clements and his targets in week 1 he saw 2. Same with Boston Scott. Boston Scott also saw 2 last game when Miles Sanders went out. I didn't even talk about the usage. Boston Scott had 2 carries after Sanders went down, but that game they were literally behind the entire game, like against Baltimore. They came all the way back, but it was all because Carson Wentz was not anything to do with the running game at all. So, I mean, yeah, their numbers that they've played this year, the usage doesn't pop off the page. If I had to prefer one, I think I'd prefer Corey Clement because he's $3,000 cheaper than Boston Scott. Now Scott's probably going to play more, but like he's really not good. So like Corey Clement gets in the end zone, no one really shock me. When we go look at snap percentage, it's going to be more important for. Devontae Freeman's been getting more usage just in general every single week, so I expect that to continue. Deion Lewis seeing about 30% of the snaps on the week. Last week only saw 18, so Freeman did see an uptick there. But I'm sure it comes back to around 30 this game. So Deion Lewis will probably get some usage. I think he's still a fine play. Corey Clement in week 1 was on the field 30% of snaps, and Boston Scott was on 56%. Now I will note that Boston Scott did get hurt in that game. He did not finish the game, so he probably would have outsnapped Corey Clement a lot more. Corey Clement's going to be a hard one to play. I mean, I'm going to get some spots with him, but I just think he probably is a little bit too overpriced. I think Boston Scott is too, but you can just play anybody in your lineup. It doesn't really matter. Salary, I'm really telling you, it just does not matter at this point on this slate at all. Boston Scott played 49% of snaps last game after Miles Sanders went out, so he was the running back for the most part. Clement only saw 10, so that is a little bit more definitely in the favor of Boston Scott, so he's probably the one to go to. But those are running backs I'm interested in. They're all fine. Devontae Freeman's probably my favorite one for sure, then probably Scott. Then I'd say I think Deion Lewis and Clement are pretty tied. I think Deion Lewis I prefer just because of the price difference for Corey Clement. If you want to get to Wayne Gallman, I didn't put him on here. I don't think he doesn't really get utilized at all. I probably wouldn't go there, but you can get to him if you want. We'll go to the wide receivers, where the Giants have Austin Mack, Darius Slayton, and Golden Tate. And those are literally the only wide receivers that are at least on the Draftkings slate that are not hurt, or Damian Ratley got cut last week, so like on the team. So if Darius Slayton misses, they only have 2 receivers. They're going to be pulling up guys from the practice squad, which they'll probably add in on DraftKings if they do it today or tomorrow for only like $200. But so those will be guys to be interested in. But if Slayton plays, like I don't think Slayton should play, but he might play out of necessity because they just don't have anybody. So Travis Fulgham's 8,800, Hightower's 1,200, and Greg Ward's 4,800. Fulgham, I'm pretty sure is going to be a popular play this week, but like he's going to get there. Not Darius Slayton. James Bradbury, who's just been elite this year. I mean, he has just been absolutely insane. I mean, you look at the cornerback grade by PFF, an 84.4 PFF grade. When we go look at overall matchup, I mean, it's one of the worst matchups overall on the entire slate. I mean, it's just not good for Travis Fulgham. He's got a really tough matchup this week. Overall offense versus defense is going to be negative. Like every spot's going to be negative because these teams just suck. The Eagles have allowed the 10th most points to receivers. Giants have allowed 11th most points to receivers. But it's usually coming to the number 2 guys for the Giants. So I will say that. When we go look at usage, we're seeing Darius Slayton averaging 7.25 targets per game ever since Sterling Shepard went out, and Tate's averaging 4.75. Austin Mack saw 1 target last week, but we'll talk about him when I get to snap percentage in a second. But those Slayton and Tate are definitely the guys. I mean, they're more receiver 1 and receiver 2. Now, if Slayton misses, Golden Tate is like the only guy, and he's just going to get a ton of usage. I'm sure Evan Ingram sees more usage, and he probably just plays as a wide receiver, honestly, which might make him a very good play. We'll talk about Ingram in a second. Then we got Philly. You have Travis Fulgham in the last 3 weeks, averaging 8.66 targets per game. Hightower's averaging 4, and Greg Ward's averaging 5. So they're all getting usage. Definitely all guys to have some interest in. But I will, again, Fulgham's getting James Bradbury this week, who's been absolutely elite this year. One of the best corners in the league so far. Yeah, Darius Slay's on the other side, but he is not as good as Travis Fulgham or as James Bradbury. So I mean, he's solid, but he ain't anything like too special, anything just too much to worry about. So when we go look at the snap percentage, so this Austin Mack, I think, is a really good value. He's only $400 on DraftKings, and he played 74% of snaps last week. Was the wide receiver 3 for them after C.J. Board got hurt. Then Darius Slayton got hurt as well. So if Board's out, he's doubtful. He's doubtful. So yeah, I doubt he's going to play. Austin Mack, he should probably slide in for most of the usage there. So I think he's probably the spot to go. He's really cheap. I think he's probably the best value on an entire slate. If he's going to play 74% of snaps, he only needs to see like 1 catch for like 10 yards, and that's it to pay off his salary. He doesn't need a lot, so he should be an easy play, plug and play. He'll probably be my highest owned player, honestly. Darius Slayton, Golden Tate, I think they're fine. They're going to be used a ton. Travis Fulgham, John Hightower, Greg Ward. I think people are going to look for J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. He's a little more expensive than John Hightower, but he's only playing like 10% of snaps right now, where John Hightower's seen the last 3 weeks 60, 79, and 80% of the snaps. So he's going to be out there more, definitely getting more target as well. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside's only seen like 1 target, where Hightower's seen like 4 to 5 every week. So in a pretty good matchup on the other side of the ball, that's not James Bradbury, that's Yadam or Ryan Lewis. Actually, it's just, it's a good matchup overall. So definitely a spot I want to look to. Especially, I definitely like these Philly receivers. I like all of them. I mean, basically every single guy I'm showing here I'm probably going to play, just because there's such a limited amount of guys to play. But yeah, Austin Mack makes you be able to fit in literally anybody you want in lineups. So, I mean, he's just like such a value. I mean, he's one of the biggest values I've seen. I mean, other than Tyler Johnson a few weeks ago for Tampa, it's like that again. So Austin Mack looks like a really, really good value. Then we'll finish it out with tight ends, where we have Evan Ingram, Caden Smith, Richard Rodgers. Those are the guys I'm interested in. When we go look at the overall matchup, it is going to be actually positive for all these guys for once. The Eagles have allowed the 3rd most points to tight ends this year. That's bad. But Giants, on the other hand, have only allowed 27th most. I'm not really too worried about that on showdown slate, but I think that does show Evan Ingram is definitely someone to at least consider as a captain, especially if Slayton's out. If Slayton's out, I still think Tate probably leads the team in targets, but Ingram's probably going to end up being second, and he could be first. And at that point, if they really, Evan Ingram can play wide receiver. We've seen it for years. He doesn't get utilized like that on this Jason Garrett offense. He's utilized like Jason Witten, and he's just horrible. It's just pointless, but we know what Evan Ingram can do. So if they just move Evan Ingram to wide receiver, he can end up being just a great play in the week overall. He's definitely in a spot that would very much that would look very good. So definitely Evan Ingram is definitely a spot I like to attack. Caden Smith, we'll talk about in a second, and then Richard Rodgers. So Zach Ertz and Goddard are out now. There's no tight end, so he's the guy. Only averaging 2.33 targets per game, but like, okay, like Ertz and Goddard have been there for that. So, ever since Goddard came in, Rodgers has taken over that number 2 spot, and Perkins is out. So like Rodgers is like the only tight end on this team. Like, it's just bad. He saw 60% of the snaps last week after Ertz went down. He's going to be the number 1 tight end. He's like $5,000. He's fine. Caden Smith's seen 30 to 50% of snaps every single game, averaging 39%. He's out there. Yeah, he's not getting a ton of usage, averaging like 2 targets a game, which isn't terrible. So, and only 2,000, he offers you a nice little floor. So, and then Evan Ingram, I think, is a really good play. So, I mean, that's really all I have to say on this slate. It's horrible. There's a ton of value. Just try to fit in value. I like the quarterbacks and captains. Try to make sure you get like 2 of their receivers in the lineup with them. And just, try to be different. Don't try to fill up your entire salary. Like, actually leave money on the table, because people are going to be filling up their salary because they're going to be like, ooh, I can play Austin Mack and then play the next 4 most expensive guys. You know how duped that lineup's going to be? There's going to be a million of them. So be a little different. Don't be afraid to be different. There's good cheap guys like Richard Rodgers is a really good cheap value. Caden Smith's a really good cheap value. The receivers in Philly, Hightower, Greg Ward, both good values. Tate, if Slayton's out, is a good value. Like, there's just good values everywhere. So just be on the lookout for all that stuff. If anything changes, follow me on Twitter. I'll probably post something about it on Thursday. If you want to subscribe to my Patreon, where I will be giving updates on that for sure, I'll put the link in the description below. And if I think about it, I'll put something on like the YouTube video of like the channel, like the description, where I update like, okay, this guy's in play now. So just be sure to look out for all that stuff. But yeah, thank you guys so much for checking this out. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Be sure to look out for the rest of my NFL stuff coming up later this week. Not today, but quarterback video will be out tomorrow. Then running back on Thursday, quarterbacks and running backs actually will be out tomorrow. Receivers Thursday, tight ends and top stacks Friday. So yeah, be sure to look out for all that stuff, and in NASCAR as well. But yeah, thank you guys for checking this out. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day.